How y'all doing?
Good.
Y'all feeling tonight?
Yeah.
I said y'all feeling tonight?
Yes.
If you have a Bible and you don't trust that I'm going to read it correctly, you want to go to 2 Corinthians 5:17 with me. I'm sure most of you know it by heart, but it's good to go ahead and read it and get into it. I just want to start from there. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and behold, the new has come. All of this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That in Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting us to the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us. We implore you, on behalf of Christ, to be reconciled to God. For our sake, he has made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that we might become the righteousness of God. Immediately, what precedes the revelation of that we are not the old things we were. We are something entirely new. Immediately, right after that, he says that we've been given the ministry of reconciliation. And he says, we are ambassadors of Christ. He didn't say the evangelist. He didn't say the missionary. He's talking to us, the whole church. So you weren't saved just for you. You were saved to reconcile other people to him. But if we're not taking this here, if we're not understanding that when he says the old is past, all things are made new. We're still stuck in that old mindset. It's not just about, did I stop cussing like our brother was talking about up here earlier. It's not about, do I go to the bars anymore, sleep around anymore. This is, do we even think the same way? Have we been renewed in the mind yet?
Come on, that's good.
I could go any different route to tell my testimony, but what I think tonight I want to really hit on is God saved me from me. I was raised in a very religious home, and I was a pastor's kid, and religion doesn't ever really require transformation. It requires behavioral modification. Sometimes people can have the best intentions coming into church, coming into religion, and still not ever produce the fruits that Christ has called us to. So a lot of things were going on in the home that shouldn't have been going on, and I was pretty numb inside, and I didn't really want anything to do with God or Christianity. So I had a very hard heart, but I was hellfire and brimstone, so I had to just, I guess I believe in God, but I didn't want anything to do with it. I was in love with the world. Parents divorced and then remarried at young, wasn't very long, and moved into a project community, and got to be the only pale-faced child in that neighborhood, so I got heart checked a lot, learned to fight, learned to do a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. Was drinking and smoking weed when I was 11. Friend was exposed to people I shouldn't have been exposed to. A friend's uncle did some things with me that I'm not going to mention in here because there are little children in here, but innocence died inside of me. I had bitterness and hatred towards my father, who was going to be a representation of God too. A father is the spiritual head of a household. Dreamed of joining the military. I was growing up, thought that would be the coolest thing ever. That didn't work out. Was drinking a whole lot, smoking a lot of weed, got into painkillers, got into hallucinogenics and all that stuff. Got into sex, pornography, loved to fight, loved to lie, manipulate, anything I can do. And I decided really early on that I really didn't believe in God. By the time I was about age 16, I think, I had read what's called the Satanic Bible. And contrary to what a lot of people might think, it's not a book of spells, it's more of a philosophy. And, I was very intellectually prideful and, got really into that. Fast forward, some years, I'm about 19 or so. I know that I can't keep going the way I'm going, but I didn't really want to change my lifestyle, but I knew I had to, at least for a few years, make something of myself. So I went to AA, went to Bradford, did that whole deal, spent several years in the 12-step program, but they tell you it's a spiritual program, so you got to find a higher power. It can be that doorknob, it's okay. It's something that's greater than you. I had a problem with this thing called pride, and I didn't think anything was greater than me. But I gave the benefit of the doubt, and I started looking into different things that might suit me, and started studying the occult, and started studying quantum physics and all that kind of weird jazz, and I started finding that in witchcraft and black magic and stuff, the common denominator was the power of the mind, it seemed like, and I could get into that. Did some research on some rituals I could try, and did a financial ritual, just asked for a certain amount of money. A few weeks later, I found a wallet on the ground. $222 was in it, and that's exactly what I needed to pay the bill for the next day. So I said, there's something to this. Started doing lustful rituals. And then that week was coming to me. Had some old drug dealers that I had really had a grudge with, so I decided to put an X on one of them. A month later, his son got killed in a drive-by. Started seeing something to this, so I started practicing magic. So I'm clean and sober, but I'm still a lying manipulator, still full of rage, no empathy, no remorse, just cold. I persecuted Christians left and right. I loved offending Christians, and Christians were easy to offend. I loved making them doubt. If I saw any sincerity inside of somebody, I just came at them hard. If my words couldn't get to them, I could slap them, I could spit on them. I could say whatever I wanted to say about their precious Jesus, and every time I found Christians were very weak. I found Christians didn't know their own Bible. It was all about getting to heaven. It was all about blessing. That's what I saw my whole life growing up. It was just a dead religion that said, if you don't know where you're going tonight, pray this prayer. How many people prayed that prayer? Oh, yeah, God moved. Nobody changed, but God moved. And all I could see that they were worshiping was this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white guy from the Middle East that allowed his own creation to kill him. And I couldn't understand any of that. I couldn't respect any of that. But I would fast forward through years. I relapsed after about a year and a half or so in the 12-step program. And told on myself it was just alcohol, and I told on myself, I said, y'all give me a week of drinking and then I'll do some outpatient or something. I'm not going to do any drugs, just let me drink for a week. Well, and I meant it, but that night I ended up shooting heroin for the first time. And for the next few years, that was just going to be, my constant cycle was heroin, meth, coke, whatever. Anything I could put in the needle. I was a human pincushion. And some of y'all in here know what that's like. Some of y'all may be still tracking that now. Desperation. The constant obsession. If I don't have it, I'm going to kill myself. But the man who led me to Christ the last time I was in jail, something he said to me stuck. He said, if you would see yourself the way God sees you, you would never put another needle in your arm again. Every addiction, it doesn't matter if it's drugs and alcohol, if it's lust, gambling, behavioral addictions, whatever, it's all traced to a bad identity, to a bad way of seeing yourself. Because if we saw what we're made for so much more than that. We're made for so much more than ourselves. So I'd move all across the country, going to rehab, in and out of psych wards, eventually turning to being in and out of jail. But fast forward, I'm clean. I got clean and sober on my own. Decided I was done. I'm going to make something of myself. I'm really done this time. And I run into my old MMA coach. I called him up, told him I wanted to go back to training. And he said, "That's great. Have you found Jesus yet?" And I started cussing him out on the phone. I don't want to hear about this. You're a hypocrite. I remember how you were in the gym. You used to smoke weed with us too. Like, come on, I don't want to hear about your Jesus, man. When I came in and sat with him, I saw something different in his eyes. And I couldn't explain it. The only thing I could compare it to was he looks like he's on some kind of cool drug that I never heard of. He just looked happy. That's called joy. That's called peace. That's what every single Christian should be walking in. The world should look at us and see something different.
That's right.
He tells me his testimony. He had got saved a year earlier. And ever since he got saved, his only natural response was to tell other people about Jesus. And I just, stop, man. I don't want to hear it. But for 6 months, he starts witnessing to me every single day after class. Sometimes for hours. And I let him lay his hands on me and pray because I respected that there was something different about it. And that's really where I messed up, was letting him lay hands on me and pray, because that's... I'm gonna sound like that. Good. So I'm at work one day, I'm cleaning the bathrooms, and not really thinking nothing too deep, kind of thinking about myself, because I worship myself. That's what you do in Satanism. You worship yourself, just like Satan. A Christian should be like Christ. A Satanist is a liar and, self-indulgent person. And I hear a voice that spoke audibly. It said, "There is none wiser and there is none stronger." And something came over me. A presence came over me I'd never felt before. And I now know that was the presence of God, and it's called love. And I look up in the mirror, I've got tears in my eyes. I hadn't cried real tears since I was a little kid. So I'm freaking out, don't know what to think, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to go see my coach, and I let the mask fall off a little bit where I was freaked out, and I start cussing at him, and I'm like, "You can't pray for me anymore." I said, "Because my rituals haven't been working anymore, and now I'm hearing voices." And he starts praising God and laughing, and he's happy, he's praising the Lord. I'm like, no, it's not Jesus. It's not Jesus. Stop. He said, "Then what is it?" I said, "I don't know. I've dealt with spirit beings before." You see, I made blood covenants with demons, even though I didn't believe they were demons. They were aliens, whatever you want to call it. Either way you want to put it. I'm sitting here seeing these dark figures. I'm pouring my own blood into a pentagram. I'm making contracts with spirit guides, whatever. I was sold out to this thing. I do a ritual with them. They give me things I want. I give them things they want. I don't even get into all that stuff. But he's saying, "It's Jesus." I said, "No, it's not, man. I don't know what it was. It didn't feel like anything I've ever felt before." He said, "Why don't you pray and have him confirm it to him?" I'm like, "No way. I'm not even doing that." But that night I thought about it, and instead of doing my normal meditations, my normal rituals I would do, I decided that I was going to pray to Jesus. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to go rub it in his face when nothing happened. I'm going to finally shut up about all this. So I said, "Dear Jesus, if you're real." I didn't pray it out loud, by the way. I couldn't let anybody hear me actually saying that name. But thank you, Chloe. I said, "Dear Jesus, if you're real and you want my attention, the gloves are off. I said, come at me like a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to come crying and begging you to forgive me. If you're real and you show me enough evidence that you're real, I'll give you a chance to explain yourself to me." And that was it. That was my first prayer. Like a drunk guy at a bar trying to pick a fight. So if you've seen me take a breath in here tonight, that's a testimony of mercy in itself.
Amen. Come on.
Next night we're at class, and my coach wants to try to choke on me. Because you see, I got some really deep jugular stuff here. So the higher ranking guys like to try to choke me out to see if they can get it perfect, Well, he tries it, and I fall out. And if you've ever seen anybody choked out, you're only out for about 10 seconds, But what I experienced, I was 23 at the time, and I experienced all 23 years of my life worth of sin. Everything from smaller than any of the children in here, having hatred and unforgiveness in my heart, throwing lust in it, every act of violence, everything stolen, every little white lie told, everything. I witnessed all my sin, but it only took like a second. It's hard to explain. It only took a second, and I've died twice, by the way, on heroin. And I've experienced going to the grave, and I started to experience that again. But I come to in time, and when I wake up, I just see my coach over me. It's trying to get the blood back to my head. But he'll tell you he never seen anybody look more afraid. And I looked and I jumped out, tried to get back to class and I couldn't. I just left. And I thought about it and I said, I think my prayer got answered. Because I said, come at me like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he used a black belt in jiu-jitsu to show me what I was guilty of. It was a little too coincidental for me. And just something happens when your reason meets revelation. There's just something that changes.
Come on, that's good.
But I tried my best to rationalize out of this, trying to figure out, I can't, there's too much going on, I can't figure it out. And the next day I'm on my way to go meet him, he told me to come early. And I'm thinking in my mind, man, I gotta get this stuff. In the back of my mind, I can't admit it, but I kind of know he's real. And I'm like, man, I gotta get this up, I gotta get that up, can't figure it out. I can't imagine going the rest of the day. I can never sleep with another person again unless I'm married to her, and that's the only one I can have. I couldn't even wrap my arm around that. There's so much I couldn't think about. I gotta stop all this stuff, but I never read where he says in Luke to count the cost of discipleship. That's exactly what I was now faced with. And there's a C.S. Lewis quote that says, if Christianity is false, there's a very little significance, but if it's true, it's the most important thing there is. And my problem is, we got billions of people on this planet that claim to be Christian, that claim to follow Jesus. They claim they're a born-again creation, and yet they live and act just like the world. And they think because I don't go to the bar, because I don't trick-or-treat on Halloween or something like that, that I'm good. But do you think the same? Is your motive in life the same? What's the first thing Jesus said to do if you want to follow him is to deny yourself, pick up your cross daily.
That's right.
Even the Apostle Paul says, I die daily.
That's right.
Every day you have the choice. You can live for yourself like the rest of the world, or you can live for the glory of your Father.
Amen.
But to glorify your Father, you have to bear fruit. To bear fruit, you have to be pruned. To be pruned means you have to give up the things that you hold sacred in yourself. But the best part about this is, everything you're denying is all lie anyways. You were never made for that. You were made for his name. You were not made to serve yourself. PJ was not made for PJ. Galatians 2:20 says, for I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ in me. You see, it's Christ in me that is the hope of glory. But it's Christ working through me that is that glory made manifest. You're here to manifest Christ on a daily basis everywhere. You don't have to go to Africa or Honduras or wherever else. You don't have to do a bunch of big outreach programs. But on your job site, where you go to school, your family, you go to the gas station, that's your mission field every day. You know, on a weekly basis, you can touch so many lives. Stop making excuses that that's not my gifting. It may not be your gifting, but it is your commandment from your King before he left. That's the last thing he said was go into all the world, make disciples, cast out devils, heal the sick. This has been freely given to us. Now we should want to give it to the world. We just celebrated his birth, right? And the gifts. I tell people, charismatic Christmas is Pentecost Sunday. That's the better gifts came. He invites us into an intimate relationship. We get to walk with him daily. How much time do I have? After I got born again, I knew in a moment I was different. It would take me 3.5 more years before I would finally surrender, because there's a difference between just being saved and being surrendered.
Come on.
And that'll also change a lot. I was double-minded when I got saved because I saw the dead works in the church. Found off on my own way, so I was more than happy. I was telling people the day, because it seemed like the day I got saved, it was just instant revelation of why I'm here, why we're all here. Nobody coached me through it, it was just there. I'm telling everybody, and I'm not seeing anybody else do this, and I'm having people tell me, you'll burn out soon, just, slow and steady, don't be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. That's a lie from hell. My Bible says actually to think on things above, not things below. So don't ever let lukewarm, carnal-minded Christians talk you out of your fire. They'll try. You're here to shine. That's why you're here. But sin don't shine. Shame don't shine. Self-centeredness doesn't shine. I would be double-minded. And I needed deliverance. I needed discipleship. I needed all these things. I needed inner healing. But then got arrested a bunch more times, ended up back in prison, ended up all this kind of crazy stuff. Why? Because that girl broke up with me. That things that matter more than what matters most. And it doesn't matter what it is, what you've made an idol in your life. It doesn't matter. The point of it is deny self. But see, even since last time I was here was June. This past June. It was a great night. Came in for the Friday night meeting. I was in a really happy place at that time in my life, but then a couple of weeks later, some things happened. Lost some stuff. And I've spent the last half of this year in the most grueling, crushing, refining fire of my entire life. Being pruned of everything. I stumbled in areas I didn't know I had the ability to still stumble in. But in it though, I've had Him in His face. It's like our sister Brittany was up here talking. I related so much to what she was saying. Because I got to sit in this situation where I was losing so much and losing my mind. Which is probably a good thing. He doesn't want us to have our mind. He wants our mind renewed. And to still sit there and the Lord say, I'm here. I see all that nasty in you. I see not just the nasty that you have done, but the nasty that you're wanting to do. Betrayal, heartbreak, all that. It really doesn't matter. How quickly we can turn and take it back. But I promise you, look, just keep pressing into Him. I think my time's probably running out. So, if y'all want me to pray with you, pull me aside at any point. We'll pray about anything. I love you guys. Thank y'all for letting me share.
Hi everyone. Tonight was a great night. I'm so excited to finish this night off with one more testimony and worship, and I'm just so thankful to be here. Every testimony that has been given has been amazing. I believe with everything in me that the Lord